I'm done lending my jet to Meghan and Harry. Never again. Last time left me utterly shaken after that crash landing. They completely overloaded the engine. And Meghan still got my car from her little PR jaunt in 2021. Hasn't bothered returning.
Elton John, the iconic music legend and fearless rocket man, has finally snapped, unleashing a shocking, no-holds-barred tirade that's sending tremors through Hollywood and royal circles alike. He's drawn an unbreakable line in the sand. I'm done lending my jet to Meghan and Harry. Never again. Sources say Elton declared after an ordeal that left him shaken to his core. That last crash landing completely overloaded the engine. And if that wasn't enough, Meghan reportedly still has his car from a PR stunt back in 2021 with no plans to return it yet. These aren't the words of a scorned acquaintance. They're the verdict of a man pushed beyond his limits. For years, Elton went over backward to shield the Duke and Duchess of Sussex from relentless scrutiny. But patience has its limits, and insiders say his finally snapped. The public long saw a heartwarming alliance. Elton, the devoted friend of the late Princess Diana, extending a protective wing over her youngest son and his American bride. It was framed as a bond forged in shared grief and mutual admiration. Or so the story went. Elton performed at their wedding, hosted them in his lavish estates, and even publicly defended them against the tabloid wolves. But behind the sparkling facade, tension was quietly building. The jet incident wasn't just a mechanical hiccup. It was the culmination of entitlement, overuse, and a friendship stretched to its breaking point. Sources close to the singer revealed Elton felt exploited. His generosity, they said, had been twisted into a non-stop free ride for the Sussexes, who globetrotted endlessly on his dime. That gleaming Range Rover autobiography, borrowed for a brief publicity stunt in California back in 2021, now reportedly gathers dust in their Montecito garage, while Elton continues footing insurance and maintenance bills from afar. This is not mere gossip. It's a fracture in the carefully curated image of Harry and Meghan. As modern royals turned philanthropists, Elton's words peel back the layers, exposing a pattern of behaviour that leaves even staunch allies questioning their loyalty. How did a relationship once celebrated as unbreakable descend into this? It all starts in the skies, where luxury collided with peril in a way that nearly cost Elton his life. As the details emerge, one thing is clear. This isn't about a faulty engine or an unreturned vehicle. It's about trust, betrayal, hypocrisy unmasked, and a celebrity powerhouse finally saying, enough is enough. The world watched Harry and Meghan step away from monarchy life for privacy and independence. But with Elton's bombshell revelations, we are forced to ask, at what cost to those who supported them? The narrative the Sussex have sold, resilience against a hostile establishment, begins to crumble once you factor in the private jets, zipping them from one elite event to the next. Elton, the loyalist, initially covered for them, insisting on carbon offsets to align with Harry's environmental preaching. But even he could no longer ignore the strain on his prized Bombardier Global Express, a jet that has reportedly logged more Sussex mileage than Elton's own tours over the years. Aviation insiders paint a vivid picture of non-stop use. Flights up to 6 days a week at one point, pushing the aircraft to its absolute limits. Hydraulic failures don't happen in a vacuum. They're the result of relentless demand, overloaded schedules, and perhaps a dash of neglect for proper maintenance. Elton's post-landing state wasn't just physical, it was emotional. Realizing that his kindness had nearly turned deadly left him shaken. As we dig deeper, the story reads like a thriller, each revelation building on the last, from turbulent skies over the Atlantic to the sun-soaked streets of California. This saga exposes the hidden costs of fame, friendship, and fallout. Elton's decision to cut ties isn't a rash impulse. It's the endpoint of a long, winding road of disappointments. And as the dust settles, one question lingers. If even Elton John, with his boundless loyalty to Diana's legacy, has turned away, who will be left standing by Harry and Meghan's side? Picture this, 10,000 feet above the ground, winds howling like a banshee, and a multi-million-dollar private jet suddenly betraying its master. This wasn't a scene from a Hollywood blockbuster. It was Elton John's reality on that fateful February day in 2022. En route to a high-stakes concert in New York, the singer's Bombardier Global Express, a symbol of his rock star opulence, suffered catastrophic hydraulic failure. The system that steers the plane, essential for safe navigation, gave out mid-flight. Turning a routine transatlantic hop into a life-or-death struggle, the pilot battled turbulent weather that battered the aircraft like a rag doll. With no choice, he declared an emergency and circled back toward Farnborough Airport in the UK. Eyewitness Philip Thompson, a local plumber nearby, described the chaos. The plane battered by fierce winds, its nose pitched far too vertical, descending halfway along the runway before shooting back into the air. Crowds gathered as word spread of Elton's peril, hearts in throats, as the jet attempted a second landing amid the storm's fury, and failed again. Veering wildly, it wasn't until the third attempt that the pilot finally nailed it. Elton emerged, shaken but unbroken, immediately booking another flight to make it to his show, proving why he's a legend. But the ordeal left lasting scars, literal repair bills and figurative erosion of trust. What the public didn't know at the time, whispers now confirm: Harry and Meghan played a role in the jet's downfall. Sources allege the couple's frequent borrowing for vacations, events and escapes from media scrutiny stressed the engine and hydraulics beyond recommended limits. Elton lent the jet generously, honouring his profound sense of duty to protect Diana's son from the press intrusion that claimed her life. But generosity has limits, and insiders say the Sussexes crossed them repeatedly, flying 6 days a week. That's not a favour, that's treating a friend's asset like a personal Uber in the sky. The malfunction wasn't random, it was the predictable outcome of excessive use, with logs reportedly showing the jet clocking more hours for Harry and Meghan than Elton's own tours. This ordeal wasn't isolated. It echoed earlier criticisms of the couple's jet-setting ways, but with Elton's personal stake, it hit differently. He reportedly confided to close friends that the crash landing left him questioning everything. They completely overloaded the engine, he allegedly said. The turbulence wasn't just meteorological, it was relational, exposing cracks in a friendship that once seemed ironclad. As Elton reviewed maintenance reports post-incident, the finger pointed squarely at overuse. No wonder he's vowing never again. This brush with mortality was a wake-up call, transforming a loyal ally into a disillusioned critic. The story doesn't end with the landing. It spirals into questions of accountability. Why did Harry and Meghan push the limits? Entitlement born from royal privilege or desperation to maintain an A-list lifestyle amid mounting financial pressures? Elton's revelation forces us to confront the unseen toll of their choices, turning a mechanical failure into a metaphor for a derailed relationship. The hypocrisy looms larger with the couple's environmental advocacy starkly clashing against their carbon-heavy habits. In the glittering world of celebrity alliances, few gestures scream inner circle, like lending out your private jet. Elton John did just that for Harry and Meghan, time and again, seeing it as an extension of his duty to Diana's legacy. But what began as a noble act of support morphed into something far more burdensome. Insiders reveal the Sussexes flew on Elton's Bombardier not sporadically, but relentlessly, up to 6 days a week during their most tumultuous periods. Post-Exit, vacations in the south of France, quick jaunts to Ibiza, even routine trips between the UK and their American haven. The jet became their lifeline, shielding them from commercial scrutiny while satisfying their need for privacy and speed. Elton, the devoted defender, initially justified it all. In 2019, amid backlash over private flights, he tweeted his distress at the distorted and malicious coverage. He personally funded the trips and ensured carbon offsets to honour Harry's eco-commitments, maintaining a high level of protection. "We provided them with a private jet flight," he stated, positioning himself as a guardian angel. But behind closed doors, the toll mounted. Aviation experts note that private jets, like the Global Express, require meticulous upkeep, and overuse accelerates wear on critical systems like hydraulics. The 2022 incident, far from a random mishap, was the literal straw that broke the camel's back, or in this case the overloaded engine, sources reveal. Harry and Meghan treated Elton's generosity like an endless open invitation, scheduling flight after flight without the slightest consideration for the strain on his prized jet. They looked exhausted from the relentless media backlash, yet continued to push, demanding more. Elton once sympathized, offering patience and understanding, but even his legendary tolerance was being tested to its very limits. Even hearing Harry confess that he felt like he was losing it, sympathy slowly morphed into frustration as one request became two, then three, until the demands piled higher than ever before. Insiders allege that the couple's team frequently booked last-minute flights, overloading schedules and pushing the aircraft's systems to the absolute limit. The result? Maintenance costs skyrocketed, and Elton footed the bill while his own carefully planned travel, concerts and personal commitments had to take a back seat. This wasn't reciprocity. It was pure exploitation. With the Sussex antics spilling over from royal drama into celebrity friendships, their dependence on generous allies highlighted a much deeper, systemic problem. Post-royalty, exiled from palace perks, Harry and Meghan leaned heavily on friends like Elton to maintain the luxuries they once took for granted. But even legends have limits. Elton's infamous snub, excluding them from his famed 2023 Oscars party amid reports of a heated falling out, signals the ultimate end. Rumours swirl that he discovered unsettling truths through mutual circles, perhaps tied to ongoing lawsuits, media spats, or behind-the-scenes drama, prompting a complete severance of all contact. This saga underscores a pattern repeated time and again. The Sussex charm opens doors with dazzling flair, but their demands slam them shut just as quickly. As Elton recalibrates his loyalties, the world watches a once unbreakable friendship unravel before our eyes, revealing the glaring hypocrisy embedded in their public persona. Few ironies sting quite like this. Harry and Meghan, vocal crusaders against climate change, jet around the globe in private luxury while preaching sustainability to the masses. A glaring contradiction that has plagued them for years, but with Elton's involvement, it reaches deafening levels. The singer, who took painstaking measures to carbon offset every Sussex flight in support of Prince Harry's environmental commitments, now finds himself entangled in the inevitable backlash. Tree planting initiatives, solar panel funding, sounds noble, right? But when these so-called eco-warriors emit 60 tons of CO2 on a single transatlantic hop, 15 times the annual Paris Agreement budget per person, the math simply doesn't add up. Harry has called climate change one of the most pressing issues facing mankind, yet their private aircraft, including a Cessna and 6/8 Citation Sovereigns, were frequently spotted ferrying them from England to Santa Barbara, belching emissions far beyond commercial alternatives. Royal expert Tom Quinn nails it. They tell people to look after the environment, yet fail to do so themselves. Hypocrisy reigns supreme. Even after ditching Elton's jet, the Sussexes were branded eco-hypocrites for hitching rides on oil-guzzling planes to events like Katy Perry concerts, further fueling public outrage. Elton's role was initially to mitigate the damage, insisting on offsets for every flight. But as overuse mounted, so did doubts. Was he inadvertently enabling their double standards? The 2019 IBI 8-trip scandal, 4 private jets in just 11 days, all while Harry lectured on global warming at a Sicily summit via private flight, sparked worldwide outrage. Campaigners cried foul, accusing the couple of virtue signalling without real sacrifice. This hypocrisy isn't abstract, it's painfully measurable. A short 500-mile journey on these jets emitted nearly 60 tons of CO2, dwarfing the 2-ton annual cap per person set to curb warming below 2 degrees Celsius. Yet Meghan and Harry pontificate from podiums, urging others to act, while their lifestyle screams indifference at full volume. Elton's vow to withhold his jet stems partly from this glaring contradiction. He no longer wants his name tied to their environmental facade. As scrutiny intensifies, the Sussexes' image fractures. Their advocacy rings hollow, mere props in a larger narrative of entitlement. Elton's pullback exposes the truth. Real change begins at home, or in this case, on the ground, not 30,000 feet above. If the jet saga wasn't enough, Enter the infamous car, a £19,000 Range Rover autobiography Meghan borrowed from Elton during a 2021 PR jaunt, and, according to sources, still hasn't returned. Spotted cruising California's boulevards, this wasn't just any vehicle. It was Elton's personal ride, loaned as a gesture of goodwill during the Sussexes' early Montecito days. What was meant as a temporary favour has now stretched into years. Elton reportedly fumed as the vehicle gathered dust, with security staff later seen topping up the tank. Following Harry's memoir Spare, insiders claim that, cut off from Royal Fleet perks, the couple leaned even harder on Elton's generosity amid mounting financial squeezes. The Range Rover, identical to one Elton himself used at US concerts, became their go-to for errands and appearances, but borrowing quickly turned into keeping, with no repayment or return in sight. This isn't isolated entitlement, it's part of a consistent pattern. Pre-marriage, Meghan's net worth hovered around $2 to $5 million, with Phil earnings capping at $200,000 per role post-exit. Meanwhile, their $14 million Montecito mansion, dubbed the Olive Garden by insiders, devours funds for upkeep, taxes, landscaping, staff, including nannies and chefs. Meghan's 2021 wardrobe splurge of over £58,000 on clothes and jewellery, up from £44,000 the previous year, highlights the growing financial strain. Child-rearing costs for Archie and Lilibet balloon to $78,000 annually. Netflix deals falter, projects like Pearl get axed, and the couple scrambles, borrowing Elton's assets as a symptom of living beyond means, mimicking Windsor's without the backing. Elton's confirmation in interviews underscores the breach. This wasn't a gift. It was a loan, now long overdue. This betrayal wasn't just material. It symbolized deeper rifts, generosity exploited, friendship strained, trust eroded. Beneath Montecito's polished facade lies a fragile financial house of cards. Their post-royal independence promised freedom, but insiders paint a picture of mounting debts, desperation, and continual reliance on friends to sustain appearances. Even a $14 million mansion devours 30% of their net worth, with annual upkeep, taxes, HOA fees, and pool maintenance running into six figures. Staff, nannies, cleaners, chefs, everything adds up. Meghan's pre-Harry earnings were modest, $200,000 max per film, plus $80,000 in endorsements, minus agents, attorneys, and lifestyle costs. No family bailouts, only escalating expenses. Netflix deals teeter, shares plunge, and their Spare memoir sales, hyped as millions, reveal closer to 10,000 copies sold. Borrowing Elton's assets? A red flag of cash flow issues. The jet and the car weren't luxuries. They were necessities the Sussexes couldn't afford outright. As projects flop and fame wanes, they are labelled monsters for spending lavishly on PR stunts yet failing to deliver returns. This financial fragility fueled the overuse that pushed Elton to his absolute limit. His cutoff wasn't just personal, it was pragmatic. Refusing to bankroll their facade any longer, Elton drew the line. What drives a lifelong friend to total disconnection? For Elton, it was the jet scare, the unreturned car, and whispers of deeper betrayals that cut to the very core of a bond once thought unbreakable. From 2023 onward, details reveal a massive fallout. Harry and Meghan snubbed from Elton's Oscars bash, a staple for their circle that had previously welcomed them with open arms. Sources allege Elton learned of snickering and mocking behind his back. The Sussexes abusing his jet privileges while joking privately, only for their words to reach him through mutual acquaintances. This betrayal wasn't just hearsay. It was a pattern of ingratitude eroding years of trust. The bond, once described as parental by insiders, soured amid lawsuits, public dramas, and one-sided loyalty. Elton, fiercely protective post-Diana's tragic death, had viewed Harry as a surrogate son, offering material support and emotional refuge during the couple's royal exodus. Yet he withdrew. After realising his unwavering support had enabled entitlement, allowing the Sussexes to take without giving back, the fracture widened. Tie this to Harry's memoir, Spare, where he detailed a tense clash with Elton over a song refusal during a holiday, a clear early crack in their once solid harmony. Other whispers point to Meghan's business dealings or ongoing media battles. But regardless of specifics, the result is unequivocal: severed contact, no more favours, deliberate distancing that extended to high-profile events like the 2023 Oscars viewing party, where their absence spoke volumes. This rift exposes the Sussexes' growing isolation in celebrity spheres. Once able to navigate effortlessly, now even Hollywood elites hesitate. If Elton, bound by Diana's memory and his own promises to safeguard her legacy, walks away, it sets a precedent others inevitably follow. From former royal confidants to entertainment titans, this is a cautionary tale etched in the annals of fame, loyalty, and reciprocity. And without that trust, even the most iconic figures depart, leaving a trail of unanswered invitations and faded alliances. Into 2025, the silence between them persists, a stark reminder that bridges burned privately collapse publicly. Elton's exposure isn't just a personal vendetta, it's a mirror reflecting Harry and Meghan's unravelling narrative. From jet overloads to unreturned loans, it reveals a couple adrift. Independence a veneer over dependency, hypocrisy masked as activism. The monarchy may have distanced them, and now celebrities are doing the same. As legal, financial, and reputational contingencies brew, the question looms: can they rebuild? Or is this fracture the defining chapter of their saga? Silence from Montecito speaks volumes. No denials, just calculated distance. Elton's stand reminds us that true friendships endure tests, but exploitation invites exposure. In this royal remix, the music has stopped, leaving only echoes of what might have been. If you enjoyed this deep dive, smash that like button, hit subscribe, share this story with friends, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's discuss. What do you think really went wrong between Elton John and the Sussexes?